Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Open Mic Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Marc. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This is one of a set of a bonus podcast episodes called Comedy Night in the Spotlight, where I'll be speaking to people on the comedy circuit who run their own gigs, giving them the chance to tell you all about it, how you can get involved watching the comedy they put on, and how to apply to perform too. Today's guest is putting on a night providing the best experience possible for both the audience and the performers by creating a welcoming and friendly atmosphere. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Mr. Steven Mayne from Comedy Incorporated.
That's the most
Hello, Steve.
I've heard for years.
Hi,
Marc, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm a bit tired. I'll be honest. I'm a bit tired. I've got a 2-year-old daughter, right, who's determined to kill me with lack of sleep.
That's what they're there to test you, so you can do your comedy late at night and just get away.
Do you know what though? She said the other day she jumped on my leg, like horror tackle jump.
Yep.
Like to get me out the Euros type of thing. Yep. I was like, you've got to be careful with Daddy. And she looked at me and she went, "Sorry, Dad, I love you." And my heart just melted. She'd never said it before. And I was like, oh, that's so lovely. Oh, I was like, where did you hear that? Mum never says it. And but yeah, it was great. It is great. It's wonderful having children. Like if you're interested in having children, do have children, but do not think you'll ever sleep again.
Very, very true. So come on then. Comedy Incorporated. What's the background and how?
Oh, there's
give us everything.
There's a lot of background in the story. I love your old timey music. I feel like I need to go in and order like a bottle of whiskey, and so I've just been lassoing some cattle. Right, so. Well, I first started doing Tool Tales and Cocktails is like a slightly different show, but it's not big theatre. It's a theatre comedy storytelling show. And so I've been running that for a bit monthly. And I've been working under the majestic Carl Wallace at GMB, who he knows more about comedy than we've forgotten, really. He's been doing it for so long and is an incredible mentor and helper for those who ask him and work hard. And so then I was trying to find a venue to run a weekly open mic night. And as you know, we started in Brick Lane. And that was called Laughs on the Lane because it was LOL, Laughs on Lane. It was clever. No one realised the amount of time that took to write.
I bet.
And unfortunately, that didn't work out. And I believe that bar is no longer with us. And so I was talking to the people in Archway where I was recording Radio Islington. Again, something that I don't believe the studio has gone. I'm not saying this is like I'm connected to all of this. I turn up somewhere and it pops. And then, as you know, we had the place in Archway, but we only ever had that place for five gigs.
Yeah.
And so during those 5 gigs, I was trying to find like another venue. So I'm very, very appreciative for the people in Archway. But it wasn't the cafe setting, if you remember it was like next to the bar.
Yeah.
It's like had to move all the tables and move all the chairs and then move it back again. And one of the brilliant things about open mic comedy is that obviously it's zero barrier to entry. Effectively, the only barrier to entry of being an open mic comic is don't be without a swear.
You can swear as much as you want.
Okay, is don't be a fucking dick is effectively the barrier to entry of being a comic. Just don't be a complete twat. And because I was so busy like rearranging the room and stuff, you would never get to chat to the other comics.
Mm.
And so from a booking point of view, you couldn't figure out anybody who wasn't like I always call them groovy dudes from the David Bowie song, All the Young Dudes.
Yeah.
So like fully incorporated of all sexualities and genders. Just be a cool dude. Just be yourself and be good to other people, and you'll always get booked. And unfortunately, as we know, not everybody in the comedy industry is like that. And the hang for after the open mic gives you an opportunity to find out where the other good places to perform are.
Yeah.
and it also gives you a chance to meet people and make friends. And I know I don't look 43, Mark. I know you constantly comment on my Timoteash lush long locks and my youthful skinful appearance. Not with these bags on. I'm dying. But yeah, like when you're a bit older and you've gone into comedy, like after your initial careers, it's hard to make friends. And it's hard to find out who the good people and the bad people are. And missing that hang was like disappointed me. It kind of made the night harder to do.
Yeah.
Because it's great emceeing. I love emceeing. I love hosting. I love watching all the acts, and I love watching acts as their material progresses.
Yeah.
As you see it get improve and improve and improve, and that's something very inspiring. Especially if you want to like move forward in comedy. I'm not saying we're in competition. I think that's great about art. No one's in competition, but
yeah.
If you can see somebody's set improving every time you see them, like normally you bump into the same people in the circuit like once a month, really, once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry, listeners. And seeing them improve, you're like, they're improving. Why aren't I writing enough? And I use that as inspiration, not competition.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. So people like Perform at Comedy Incorporated can get their sets down and then like sometimes do tall tales. So someone like Kim Hope, who's wonderful, and I know you're a big fan. I think she's an incredible individual and an incredible performer. And watching her like craft her sets is very inspiring. Where you'll have someone like Yogi Bell, who I think's a genius. I think it's an absolute genius, but I can't really tell where any of that comes from. It's like, and you talk to him, and you're like, surely you must be on some hallucinogenics. He's like, no, completely sober, but all times cycling about, and it's like, I don't want to take away his set, but I've spoken about it before. I've spoken about on his radio and stuff, and he's just batshit bonkers brilliant. Like, if you haven't seen Yogi Bell perform, you can see him on opening night in Comedy Incorporated at Herne Hill on Wednesday. Is it the 28th or 29th? I better not get 29th. That wrong. 29th. He's opening the show. He's cleansing the asthma of the building. For reasons we shouldn't really. For the other people who were running it didn't seem to do a good job. So we want to get in there. We want to bring some brilliant comedy to Herne Hill on Wednesday nights. It doesn't seem like there are nights on Wednesdays in that area. I think there's comedy on Tuesdays in Brixton. We'll find out what that's called, and I'm sure they're good. We'll put a little note somewhere. And there's some like storytelling stuff once a month on Wednesdays in Brixton as well. But there's not really just like straight weekly stand-up in that area. Yep. And the venue's called Off the Cuff, which has been a comedy venue before. And what a brilliant name for a comedy venue, Off the Cuff. And it couldn't be closer to Herne Hill Station if it was on the platform. It's literally the building next door. It's about a 15-minute walk from Brixton if you know the way. I would get the bus. It's like 5 minutes just from Brixton Tube. But Brixton Overground goes straight to Herne Hill, and you can get there from Victoria in like 8 minutes. So it's not that hard to get to.
So what's the actual venue like then? Because obviously
it's a music venue.
Okay.
It's a music venue, so it's quite punk, and I like the punk ethos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get stuff done with what you have, and I think that's very comedy as well. Like, you will try to make people laugh with what you have.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And you know, it's a bit rough around the edges, the venue, but I mean that in like a loving way. You know, like when you see like an old like Keith Richards guitar or something like that, and it's been bashed up, but it's
got a story.
Yeah, exactly. This venue has got some stories, but it's a nice big room, and so I'm hoping we can get it full. I'm hoping we can get it rocking. We've got the brilliant David Gambin, who's going to be taking the pictures, who I think, for my money, takes the best pictures at this level of the comedy circuit easily. I think he's brilliant at what he does. We've got a light and sound tech there. We're going to have discount drinks for the performers. I'm still negotiating that, but you know, as much as I can do for the performers, really, I think if you get good quality performers, you get happy performers, they're more likely to invite people. And the audience, which I'll be advertising as much as I can. Anyone who's been to my gigs knows that I'm not a lazy promoter by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And we'll see if we can get the room full. And if we can keep the room full for 2 or 3 months, then it will have that natural, what are we doing on Wednesday night? If we're in the area, we will be going to this comedy show. So we're going to have approximately 12 performers a night. So more people can have longer spots.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly less performers. I'm hoping, everybody's welcome. You can easily apply. Just go to Comedy Incorporated. Instagram, just all one word, Comedy Incorporated, and there'll be a link on there. Apply for what you like. The most important bit of the form is at the very bottom, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone that's listening, just stop and listen to the next things that Steve's going to say.
This is the most important. Right, so every single general sign-up form, and I've done loads of sign-up forms, I've done loads of open mics, we've all had to start that, right? And they'll have your usual, the dates you can do. I have if you want to be a bringer, or you can help the night. You never need to have a bringer at one of my nights, but you do need to support the night. So generally for me, that's flyering outside the show for about half an hour. But if you keep going down, there's a free box that says, is there anything I should know? That is your opportunity to stand out between the other 250 forms I get. I will revert back to the wonderful Miss Kimberly Hope, who's done the best one so far, who said, Steve, be careful. Golden retrievers contain no gold ore, no matter what they advertise, which still makes me laugh. Right? The people who put nothing there, I'm like, why? Even if you just worked with me before, just write, Steve, we've gigged before, or I've done one of your gigs before because I'll remember you. Or leave a joke there. The people who kind of cut and paste what that agent would put out, I'm like, you probably don't have an agent. You're applying for an open mic spot. I don't really care if you got to the quarterfinals of some random competition I've never heard of. Like if you make me laugh, I'll book you because surely you're funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had some horror stories with people filling in forms. I like it when they argue with you. That's my favourite.
I did put an effort in for the last form as well. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what I put, but I put it in some kind of medieval speak.
Yeah. You were like, "O court jester of mirth" or something. I remember
something crazy and ridiculous.
But the thing is I'll remember that. So that there's strange things I'll remember. Like one of the I actually now can't remember his name, but his Instagram is Mash Bandicoot. Right, and I always remember that because I'm like, it's like the video game, but you're mashed up, and I'm like, nice, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So he you're just more likely to get a gig if you're funny on the form. I imagine you're going to be funny on stage.
Yeah, it's also about that making that little bit of an effort and showing you want to perform at that place rather than just filling in loads of forms every month and just off they go.
I'm going to be honest, I do see it completely from both ways. I understand that people want gigs and they're going to fill in as many forms as possible. But with me personally, you're going to get far more success getting booked at a gig if it feels like you've spent time and you've actually filled in the form. I literally yesterday, we're talking about it just off air. I won't say the person's name, but I write. So I do all my admin on Instagram. So if you're not on Instagram, just sign up an account. You don't need to advertise comedy on your Instagram. It's just for my life, it's easier, as you well know, because you do the gigs. That I put for a Wednesday gig, I'll put everybody on the Instagram, and then I can make sure you know what advertising's happening. So we do a lot of advertising, which we will talk to soon because the new designs are pretty amazing, and we're going to give some shout outs to the person who helped design them, Marc, which would be lovely because it's you. And but they sent me back like that green sick face on Instagram going, bring us. And I'm like, you applied for the spot.
Yeah.
You applied for the spot and I'm just offering it to you. Now you're having a go at me saying you don't do bringers. It's like, I don't randomly email people, message people from Instagram going, would you like a bringer spot? You applied for it. And then you have an argument with them. And I'm like, I don't have time to argue with you. I've got another 150 applications. I was just offering you a spot. If you don't want it, that's fine. You could have been booked up before. I think I'm quite quick getting back to people. I normally do all the admin on Sundays.
Yeah, I think the whole bringer situation, obviously we know this argument's been done to death and it will always be done to death and it's never going to go away. But it's actually quite refreshing to have a night where you can offer to help.
Yeah, so I'll give you my 2 pence on it. I think there are levels of open mic gigs. So you've got some open mic gigs which we've all done, where it's just comics, and there's no one else, just the people who are performing are there. And there are some advantages and disadvantages to that. I think as you get longer in the tooth, the value of them reduces. That's just a personal opinion. But when you start, it's really nice to be able to perform in front of people, especially if you've got performance anxiety. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
You get to talk to comics, and assuming you're in a nice bunch of people, you can get some support about what you're trying to do. Always ask before you offer support, though. And don't just go up to comics and go, yeah, I think you should do this, because I will tell you to fuck off. But if you offer and you say it nicely, I will gladly listen to you. That's very important. But and so it kind of turns into a workshop. And I think if you've been going for a short period of time, that has a use.
Yes.
And now you've got something which is like just straight bringers. There's no audience apart from the people performing and the person they've dragged along. Now, the problem with bringers is that generally the audience are just other comics, generally speaking, or they're like the partner who's been dragged along so often they're like half falling asleep. Oh, I've got to hear them do the jokes again. Oh my God, I hear them doing this every morning. That type of thing. And so you're performing in front of a bigger crowd, but not necessarily a better crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be a nice mix of acts, the people who want to support the acts and actual people who have gone in. Now, the reason that you can be a bringer or a helper is because I think it's better to have a local support and local people who come to the show, because then you're actually performing in front of people who want to listen to comedy and are only there to be entertained. And they're going to give you the best feedback on your joke. But to actually get to that point, especially in the off-the-cuff venue holds like 50 people or like 60 people. So it's going to take some time to fully fill out. So for the first month or 2 months, it's going to have to, like half the acts will probably have bringers. That's all it really is. It's probably less than that actually have bringers. Because by the time you take into account the 10 and 7 spots where you don't need a bringer, there are people who have performed before, and the people who are helping out and they're flyering, there's probably only 5 or 6 people who actually have a bringer. But it does mean that the night at least has 20 people in if you include the acts. And then everybody on top. So you're not performing to people. But yeah, I would much prefer people to fly and fly well. Some people turn up to fly and then kind of sit in the corner, play on their phone or like smoke cigarettes. And I'm like, you're not really buying into the ethos of what the night is.
Yeah.
But yes, we've had some brilliant people bring like Flyer. They can go and get 3 or 4 people in. That's much better than them bringing one bringer.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And but like helping that, as you know, like you've seen my other nights, that used to be like moving tables and chairs in Archway. It's been loads of different things. But if I know you're supporting the night and the people who perform with me know I'm always going to support that. So I'll happily advertise people's podcasts. I'll happily advertise people's works in progress. Like I'll advertise you because I think we're all in this together.
Yeah.
I think we rise and fall like the tide. And people who are like, I'm like, well, just don't come.
Yeah,
be your keyboard warrior. I don't care. Like, there's enough things in my past if you want to shout at me about them. Like, honestly, like I've done a lot worse things than run a bringer comedy night, right? And it's not even a full bringer. But yeah, like I've never known anybody to be a keyboard warrior on Facebook and then become successful.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be moaning, instead of moaning, write some jokes. That's how I view it, and it's very blunt. And I'll talk to people, and I'm like, "Oh, if you do that, Comedy Collective will shout you." And I was like, "I couldn't give a fuck about Comedy Collective. I was being direct. Couldn't care less. If you want to perform, great. Come and support the night. Have fun. Turn up with a smile on your face. I don't care if you die on stage, but if you're a good person and you clap and you cheer all the other acts, I will book you time and time again.
Yeah,
because we've got an agreement when we're going on stage, right? Everybody's been going for a bit of time. I've been going for 3 and a bit years. I'm not long in the tooth in comedy. I haven't done my 10,000 hours yet, right?
Yep.
But we're learning. I've got to the point where I know why I'm not very good.
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? I know why I'm not very good, and I've only learned that now. But what I know is very important is that when we're on stage and we tell a joke, we need the feedback of the audience.
Yep.
It's the only way I know it's funny. If I played guitar, I could WhatsApp you a song, and you could reply going, "Yeah, it's crap," right? Because it's a song, and we naturally listen to songs on our iPhones or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But comedy, you need to perform in front of an audience. So if you're somebody who's just going to turn up and you're going to sit at the back of the room and you're going to give any interest to any of the other performers, you're going to do your set and then you're going to try to leave after your set, or you're going to run past me whilst I've got a bucket, not even say thank you for putting the night on. I don't care if you put any money in, right? But just say thank you for putting the night on. I'm a comic, I'm skin. I'm a comic, I'm skin. I understand, right?
Yeah.
But just be nice and be thankful that we've got somewhere to perform. Support the other acts like they've supported you, and you will get booked at every one of my gigs.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Be good for the community. You will get booked. But yeah, there's people I won't book because they're rude.
That's fair enough.
Right? And I don't, but you've had loads of people put on gigs here. I love your podcast. It's really interesting to hear the other people's opinions. But the amount of time and effort it actually takes to put on a show, right,
Yeah.
is huge. You spend hours and hours doing admin, right? I spend money on flyers and posters, advertising the nights, right? I don't make money from open mic nights, right? Right? It would be great if 60 people turned up and they all put a tenner in, right? Then yes, I would make money that night. But what I would do is I would pay big performers to come then. I would pay for more money on advertising. So if you want to perform with people who want to move forward with comedy, be nice to them. It's just etiquette. It's just be polite. And people who run away from you, they're like scared that, what am I going to say? Oh, if you just say thank you, Steve, for putting the night on, and shake my hand, I'll go thank you for performing.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have any money. Why are you asking me? I'm not asking for it. I'm just asking to say thank you. That's it.
I think with David and the photos, and you have the. I'll let you explain about the minimum contribution kind of thing.
Oh,
which I
okay,
think
right. So David Gambin, who is the loveliest man in the world. I've been working with him since Tall Towers was in the Drayton Arms Theatre, so 2 or 3 years now. And I actually met him when I was out flyering.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I fly, I go out for 4 days before one of those big shows, going around everywhere, putting up posters, putting flyers through doors, going into local businesses, everything I can, like an old school boxing promoter would, you know. if I could go down the street in an open top car with a megaphone going, "Everybody come to our comedy gig. It's the greatest show in the world." Like an old school Don King without the felonies.
Yeah.
Then I would do. But he was working in a vegan supermarket in Fulham. And he was like, "Oh, I quite like comedy, but I'm a photographer." And I was like, "I need a photographer come." You can have as many free tickets as you want forever.
Yeah.
And then we've managed to build that up. And his pictures are so good.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away, we've had other people take pictures for us. Richard has taken pictures for us. Richard, who does things, it's his Instagram. He's just done the pictures at Secretly Pissed, Tev's night.
Yeah.
At the Cav. Tev's a nice guy. I don't know if you've had him on, but lovely guy. And I think the difference between David and some of the other individuals is that David's passion is photography first and comedy second.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to take the best performance pictures and then he wants to enjoy the show. Some people go to shows to enjoy the show and then they take pictures afterwards. So I love this picture and I always pronounce her name incorrectly. So apologies, but if anyone's been to my show, they know I get my name wrong. Julia Malsi, maybe. She goes out with Viggo Venn. She's she's a clown.
Okay.
And she won the Edinburgh Fringe, and now she's massive, like New York, Australia, everywhere. Well, she performed at Tall Towers, and David got a picture of her spraying water out of her mouth onto an audience member. The audience member did consent, by the way. Obviously, it doesn't show that in the picture, but like he wants that picture because that's the coolest picture. Where I think some other people would have watched it happen and then thought, "Oh God, I've got to take a photo."
Yeah.
And just because he's done it long and we work together, and so he gets paid. So I don't. he has to get paid each time he turns up.
Yeah.
So all the donations don't go to him first. It's just we don't collect that many donations. And if you want the pictures he takes of you, the minimum donation's £3, which is minuscule really for the quality of picture. And something else I'll do, I'm not quite sure off the cuff yet, but we've always done consistently is we don't have a backdrop that says the knight's name.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think when we were in Brick Lane, it was just the backdrop of Brick Lane. When we were in Archway, it was just that black curtain.
Yeah.
And the lighting was better in Archway because you had that natural light coming through the skylight.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a picture from Archway, it was just your face, like in front of a black curtain. So you're getting like free headshots, or not free, but like headshots that would cost you £100 somewhere else for £3.
Yeah.
And
he's got a way of making the image. I mean, I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say if anyone has been to Archway, it's a very light cafe with tall ceilings, and it's not a comedy venue in that sense. But when you see a picture of what he's taken from that night, that's not the surrounding you see.
No. And the crazy thing about that was obviously people then they're supporting their friends and stuff, and they take pictures, and that's all cool. I love that, right? And you see like someone's like enthusiastic amateur's picture, and then you see David's picture, right? And the enthusiastic amateur's picture is like got like the side you can see where the curtain is, and it's got like everything else. The microphone stand, it's like got everything. David's picture has just got like the act in the middle of talking or directing something to the audience. It's because he's had to take pictures of me so long, where I'm running about and shouting at people. But the dude is just such a lovely man. It was his birthday recently, and I was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And he's like, "Steve, give money to this animal sanctuary." And you're like, "Okay, sure, I'll go donate some money to an animal sanctuary." But yeah, he's just like that, and he's so wonderful to work with. And David, you know I love you. Thank you for making me look good, because normally I look like this. I look like if there's anybody out there who ever wondered what it would be like to wake up next to the comic book guy from The Simpsons.
So go looking at the nights you put on so far. Then, what would you say is? Give us a couple of the funniest moments you've ever seen on the nights you've put on.
All right, so there's people that absolutely destroy me when they're on stage. Kim Hope's one of them. Kim Hope doesn't. Like, I don't want to step on her toes, but she does this bit, and I don't want to ruin it for it. Go and see Kim. She's just an incredible performer. But there's three people that constantly ruin me on the inside. Yogi Bell, and he does this bit where he's going, "Your left, which is my right, but it could be up or it could be down." Have you ever seen him do that bit?
No, I don't remember that bit.
Oh, destroys me. There's James Townsend. His Instagram is Start Cults and Fires. I love James. Yeah, I love James. He's brilliant. And he did this bit about Valentine's Day and trying to impress his girlfriend about wearing a squirrel suit and climbing up the drain pipe. And just the way he did it, and that like constant like energy he has, like the constant doubling down. You didn't find that bit funny. I want to go even more bonkers, right? You didn't find that bit funny. I want to go even more bonkers. What, you didn't find that funny? Right, we're going this bonkers. And then you realise you're in like the 9th circle of Dante's Inferno. And you're like, where am I? And he's like, wait, I was doing this, and I was doing this, and I was doing this. And you're like dying with laughter. Paul Little can do that. Shout out to Paul Little.
Yeah.
His eyebrows bit is he knows he has to do it when I book him. He literally goes, I'm contractually obliged to do the eyebrow bit. I think he does it early now to get it out of the way. He's like moved on from it.
Yeah.
And Steve Vertigo's a genius. An absolute #1 comedy genius if you've ever seen him. Go and see his actual like in a theatre look. Because he does like crazy like video stuff, and he interacts with himself on videos, and like wears crazy costumes, and they're just brilliant. And the thing really that links all of those performers is how wonderful they are as an individual off stage as well.
Yeah, I remember speaking to. The first time I ever saw Yogi was at one of yours in Archway, and you know when you first see an act for the very first, I've never heard of him before. It was completely, and he's walked on stage, and if you know what he wears, and you see what happens, my mind literally goes, "What the fuck is this?" And then it carries on and it carries on, but everything just gets funnier and funnier and funnier, and you are in anticipation of what's going to happen next, and it doesn't matter. You are so focused on everything. You're looking around at what he's wearing. You notice the little tags and the stuff that he's got hanging off of him, and you just you get brought into this mad, crazy world for 7-10 minutes or whatever of this thing. And I know I'm not doing it justice, but I'm trying to say it without saying what he does.
But all I will say is, if you want to be entertained, right? Because number one is we're entertainers, and I think that lots of people can be. Right, I like storytelling, so I'm very biased. But some people try to be very gag heavy, like Jimmy Carr-esque.
Yeah,
those short things. If you're on stage, just be entertaining. If you can, if the audience are staring at you, silence isn't a bad thing.
Yeah,
right. If they're all quiet, they're listening to you. They're waiting to what's going to happen next. What you don't want is them talking to each other, playing on their phones, and they're not paying attention. Yogi will have you fascinated from before he walks on stage, because when you introduce him on stage, you're like he's not. He hasn't even come on stage yet, but he's still incaptivated. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. I don't know if that's quite the right word.
Yes,
incaptivated the audience, and he will leave you entertained and talking about it until it is gone. And so I'm trying not to sneeze because I know that's terrible to do on a podcast. He's just simply wonderful, and he's just such a lovely dude. And we're lucky to have lovely people in comedy. And Bex Jade is like super lovely, like just a wonderful human being. Ed Stacey Edwards, who's been on here, like just such nice, like the good people.
Yeah.
They're my woke checkers for when I write a joke, which could be a bit dark.
In fact, with Yogi, I saw him again at Archway. I think it was like 2 weeks later or something, and I had a mate with me, and I said, "You're just going to have to watch." I said, "I cannot explain what's going to happen. I just can't. I can't. It's not even a case I don't want to ruin it. It's I can't explain it. There's no words that will do whatever I say justice."
It doesn't. You just have to go and see him. Just go and see him. And I think like there's pros and cons of being an open mic gig. Firstly, not all the acts are going to be very good.
No.
Right? And that doesn't necessarily mean they're not experienced acts. We're just trying stuff that might not work.
Mm-hmm.
You need to push it to the wire. And I don't mean pushing it to the wire as in the context of your jokes. I'm not saying like, I'm going to write the best blah, blah, blah joke, possible. What I mean is push your art form, push what you believe in yourself further forward. Because if you just always tell the same jokes, all you're doing is practicing what was mediocre.
Right? Yeah, I think there's something in that, definitely.
If I went to piano, I'm a teacher by trade. Well, I'm a lot of things by trade, but I had to be a teacher for a bit. Come to the show, I'll explain why. And I always say to students, if you're sitting in front of a piano, majority of people who've ever had a piano lesson can play the opening of Furley's. Right? For those who aren't familiar with the classics, it's like having a guitar and playing "Come as You Are." Right? You can't play guitar if you can play "Come as You Are." You can't play the piano if you can only play the first 8 bars of Furley's. Right? All you've done is practice that. That's it. That's all you can do. And there's Ralphie May. Who was an American comic you may or may not be familiar with. I keep hearing his jokes stolen. Is the difference between a dick and a cock joke? Or like I keep hearing people steal this. I was like, it's a Ralphie May joke. Stop doing it, you idiots. But he did this brilliant thing. If you go onto YouTube and you just type in Ralphie May comedy talk, something along those lines, at the Comedy Store. It's an hour and a half thing. I think I might have sent it over to you, actually.
You have?
Yeah. And he goes on stage and he's gone, last year I made $1 million in comedy, which might not sound like much now, but now, right? But like 10 years ago when he did it, that was like ridiculous amounts of money. And he sits down and he just talks through it. And yes, he uses words that are now not allowed. Okay, right? Move past that.
Yeah.
Understand the craft of what he's trying to teach you, right? Right? Words change meaning. Intrinsic structure of how something works doesn't really change.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of teaching you a way to create structure to improve. And I've always taken that to heart. So, whatever you used, let's assume you gig 5 nights a week. So whatever your closer was on Monday, we're going to have that as my opener now on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to mix my set round, right? I'm going to try to make sure every time I go on stage, if I've got a 5-minute set, 1 minute is new.
Yeah, I always think it's if you're in a situation where you think you've got everything nailed down as such, then you've kind of given yourself a little bit of license to play.
Yeah, and you should the most important thing is, right? Comics don't buy tickets. I know this sounds strange, but comics don't buy tickets, right? Audiences buy tickets.
Yeah.
So if you're a new act and you're worried about what another comic has said to you, why? They're never going to buy a ticket to your show. They're never going to help you pay your rent, ever, right? The audience will, though. The audience are our boss. So record your sets. You don't necessarily need to do it on video, but just audio record your sets and listen to where the audience react. It's the only bit of advice you need. That's it. That's it. If the audience are laughing, good. Right? and like in classical music, or depending how you define classical, this could be any of the Beethovens or Bachs or Handels or the Metallicas or the whatever, right?
Yeah.
The Guns N' Roses, right? You crescendo at the end of those big songs. Master of Puppets, crescendos. Paradise City, crescendos, right? Right? That's what you need to try to do in a comedy night, right?
Yeah.
Right? As you build up to the end, the rule of build it up. And and that's just what you're doing. And just practice. Right. And for all of you guys, it's easy to run a night. Running a night isn't easy, and it takes away a lot of writing. So if you think, I'll run a night because I'll get better at being a comic quicker, no. It's a surefire way of never getting any sleep, having 20 times more grief, and never ever writing again. But yeah,
but don't be put off creating your own one if you want in the future.
Yeah.
Just not a Wednesday night in Herne Hill.
Yeah. Don't start your own one. Just come to mine. Bring all your friends. But no, I'm all for other nights, and I'm all for new people in the comedy scene. We're not in competition with each other. Just because you shine brightly doesn't dim someone else's light. I think that if I shine brightly, everybody who I work with shines a bit brighter as well.
Yeah.
And that's important. Find the people you fit in with the most, and try to write jokes with them. I tried to have writing competitions with comics, but one's killed me recently, and I've had to stop doing it with her because she was too funny, and it was depressing me. Shout out, Belle, love you loads, but you're too funny. But I would say like James Andrew Dipple, who's lovely. I don't know if you've had him on here.
No, haven't had him on here, but I've met him quite a few times.
Yeah, he's just like super nice dude. And so like we think of jokes and like, do you think this is funny? Do you think that's funny? And you kind of bounce ideas off each other. And depending how your day goes, I normally spend 4 hours watching Peppa Pig, dreaming of shooting myself. It's nice just to be able to send a little message to somebody going, I've thought of this joke. What do you reckon? Oh yeah, think about it this way. Think about it that way, and just keep the creative juices flowing. And don't be scared. Don't be scared. If you're worried about a joke, this is something Carl Wallace told me. Carl Wallace, I know, is can be an odd figure in comedy. I've never really figured out why. He knows so much stuff. Like, take advice off him. But he was like, if you're ever sure, if you're writing a joke and you're not sure if it's going to offend people, change who the who the butt of the joke is to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's still offensive, then it's an offensive joke. If it's not offensive, then it's not an offensive joke. And that was an interesting bit of advice. I send jokes if I'm a bit concerned about a joke, if I think it could be taken the wrong way, and as I am, as most comics are, I'm on the spectrum. So sometimes I don't really understand full emotional responses.
Yeah.
So I've got friends who understand that, and I'm like, "Can you woke check a joke for me?" It's literally what I send. Can you woke check this joke? And I'll send them the joke, and they're like, "No, you cannot." You're like, "Good, that's what I've got you for." But it's like, it's to use a old school term. If you ever watched the film Old School, go and watch it. It's brilliant. It's the Tree of Trust. Have you ever watched that book?
I know the film. I don't think I've seen it, but I know the film and I know the premise of it.
Yeah, the Tree of Trust. It's one of those Will Ferrell movies where Will Ferrell isn't in it much. And
Right.
I think they're the best ones because he's such he can be a polarizing figure on screen. But on Old School, he's just in it in little bits. He's got like 3 main scenes. There's the We're Going Streaking scene with Snoop Dogg, the Frank the Tank bit, and the other bit is when he's in therapy and he's with his wife and he's like, I was just staring at this waitress and I was wondering what underwear she was wearing. And was it like just plain white underwear? And the wife, you can see that on shot, the wife's going bonkers.
Yeah.
And he's like, aren't we, I thought this was a safe space. Aren't we in like the love nest and the trust tree?
Very good.
Oh, yeah, hilarious. Yeah.
So give us a quick recap then. So what's the name of the venue again?
Right.
And all of that jazz.
Right. So the name of the night is Comedy Incorporated because I thought it was a clever name. And it's because comedy is literally in the title, right? Watch. It's at Herne Hill, and the venue is called Off the Cuff, which, as I said, has had comedy there before. It is next to Herne Hill Station. As in, couldn't be closer. It is the building next to it.
Yep.
Herne Hill gets you to Victoria, I think, in 8 or 9 minutes. It's very close to Brixton. You can walk there. Don't walk there if you don't know the way. I don't know how dangerous Brixton is anymore. Get the bus. Very simple to get to. Wednesday nights, if you'd like a spot, just go onto Comedy Incorporated Instagram, spelt as you would imagine it is, and in the bio there will be a form. There isn't a form, you can drop me a message. It's every Wednesday, 5 minutes. So if I don't know you, because I haven't seen you perform, which is quite likely because I can't go to every gig, you can either apply for a 5-minute bringer or a 5-minute helper.
Mm-hmm.
Bringer, as a bringer suggests, a helper you'll be flyering. Do know that if I've never seen you before and you just keep applying for helper spots, I will probably give them to people who've had bringer spots before, just being honest.
Yeah.
The best way ever to get a spot at anybody's show, by the way, is just turn up and support the show.
Yeah.
If you talk to any promoter, if you're someone who goes, I only live around the corner, give me a spot. If you only live around the corner, one night just go there and go and meet the host and meet the booker and go, I only live around the corner, I'd love to do your show, I've just come to support the night tonight. And then talk to them afterwards, and then magically you'll probably have a spot the following week because they can see you've made the effort.
Yep. Yeah. No, definitely.
Effort is important.
It is.
I feel like I've just done an hour soliloquy. It feels like...
It's rude to interrupt.
It's okay. But...
No. And it's on Instagram, Comedy Incorporated.
Yeah. So I do everything.
Way.
Yeah, I do everything on Instagram. Because we do most of the marketing on Instagram. I've got a baby reindeer joke. Can I say it before I forget it?
You can say it if you want.
Sure?
If you're going to say it on the on your opening night.
Yeah, I know, but I can see if it's funny now, Mark. I want to see your reaction.
Do you want to do this off air?
Yeah, no, it's right. I just don't know what he was moaning about. He always had a bringer.
1 second.
Thank you. That was a gag. I don't normally do them.
I like that a lot. Actually, it's quite good.
Thank you. I've got loads of problems with the show, but that's my stupid joke about it.
Yeah. So you can find us on Instagram as well, Open Mic Comedy Pod. We're on the W's at openmiccomedypod.com. Whichever platform you're currently listening to this on, please just go up to the top of the page, find the number of stars, hit 5, add a little review. Every little bit of this helps. And if you could give it a little follow as well, because currently it's only like 20% of the people that listen are actually following. So the more does, the more we go up the charts, the more people see it, the more these people get to tell the story, and more people can hear what's going on. So thank you very much, Steve.
No problem at all, Mark. Thank you so much, and I will see you. We'll see each other on Wednesday, and hopefully the listeners. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
And until next time, I'll speak to you all very soon.